Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Real Heroes Show. You got Cory and Nick with you here today, as always. And in this video, we are going to be breaking down with big time spoilers episode 8 of Marvel's What If, which was simply entitled What If Ultron Won? Or you could call it What If a James Spaderless Ultron Won? Or what I like to call it Captain Russia and the Clinter Soldier. Get it? See what I did there? Hey,
Yes.
Nick, how are you doing today, bud?
Doing well, doing well. Halfway through the week, September's end is upon us, and it's almost time for the Halloween extravaganza.
We got a banger of a What If episode. We got a premiere date for Boba Fett this morning of December 29th. So the nerd in me is ready 13 weeks from now until book Boba Fett. It's going to be super fun. So again, there will be a spoiler bonanza in this episode. We're going to break down the entire thing. So if you have not watched the episode yet, please press pause on this video, go over to Disney Plus, check it out, come back and see us. First thing on my list is LOL, Tony dies again.
Yeah, R.I.P. Tony again.
This is what, 5 times now?
Yeah, I think series? So. Hey, they just love killing him off. I mean, it's like, we get it, he's dead in the MCU, but I mean, man, they're just kind of pounding in that death, just like he's dying once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and like, okay, like maybe spare Tony just a little bit. Like,
I know, right?
Just don't include him. You know, they kill him.
I don't know if it was the director or the executive producer for the show. They did an interview in the last couple of days where they said that the 10th episode of this season that ended up getting pushed to season 2 because of COVID was a lighthearted comedic Tony Stark episode. And I was just like, damn, man, like that sucks.
Got pushed back to season 2. All right, well, at least season 2, maybe if that's like the premiere episode, then maybe it'll be a little bit of a fresh start for Tony.
But hey, you know what, at least if Tony died in this one, he had his friends around him and they all died too. So
he did. Yes,
Captain America, Hulk, and Thor were also yeeted at the hands of Ultron, which is really interesting because we actually got like a real Age of Ultron in this episode.
We certainly did.
It wasn't like just a one-time threat that was pretty easily handled, where only like a kind of sort of Avenger in Quicksilver had to die for it to end. You know, like that movie I was so hyped for, and then to me it is the weakest Avengers movie by a long shot.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy to see like what would happen if Ultron got to really flex his muscles. And that was this episode.
Yeah, he certainly did. And, I think in times we might have spoken and even talking about like stuff from the comics, it would always be kind of interesting to see on screen. And obviously like within the comics, it happens to a certain extent. You kind of see how everything sort of is, fixed. But Ultron is never really gone, sort of thing. Like he's always sort of still lurking around in the microchasms of technology or something like along those lines. But he, just what he was able to show, and just he talks about his purpose, right? Like, at one point to the Watcher, and I think one of the most bone chilling but oh shit moments, because there were quite a few of them in this, like, because and obviously a lot of it goes to the Age of Ultron movie, where they go to stop the nuclear codes, but he launches them all, and it literally just like obliterates the Earth. Right. And
poor Nat and Clint have to just watch it happen
from the sky.
From the air. And Clint says, I think he says Laura, his wife's name, and he's all sad about it. And shit's like, damn.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of like you said in the intro, he's got a right arm that comes off, apparently.
Yeah, the Clinter Soldier.
Yeah, the Clinter Soldier.
I want to get a t-shirt with that. The best Hawkeye part we've had so far in the MCU.
Yeah, and of course the throwback to the Black Widow movie where Nat actually gets the Red Guardian shield.
Yeah.
So if you had to watch that again, it sort of ties into the canon from everything here. So kind of cool. And man, we even talked about this, I believe, in the last episode, where if Thanos comes in.
What would happen?
And Thanos just pretty much gave him all the stones on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And he just got sliced in half.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
Just taking like a 500-degree, not even that hot of a metal knife, cutting it straight down of a piece of butter. And that's what Thanos was with the Mind Stone. And
yeah, and he shows up all like confident and shit, like he does in Wakanda in Infinity War. And Ultron just says, interesting. And then right down the middle. It makes me wonder what would have happened in the MCU proper if like they just let Vision be Vision. Like I feel like the events of Infinity War could have been very different. Instead, they try to take the Mind Stone out of him, and he gets severely weakened by that, and then Thanos is able to defeat him. So
yeah, it's sort of one of those hindsight things, and I wonder if we would ever sort of get that conversation in. I mean, maybe not now in the actual MCU, but for the sake of them going to Wanda, especially, maybe we should have never tried to take the stone or destroy the stone and just let him fight to add to our defenses. It's like, I know you're kind of putting Vision on the front lines of it all, but I mean,
look what he can do.
Right. Like he's super, powerful with that Mind Stone. Like you could essentially, again, when you're fighting as a team and an army there from Wakanda, your chances are much better. Like it's like they're taking one of their greatest weapons away from them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, use Vision with the Mind Stone with, Thor, with Stormbreaker, like who's just,
bounce the Mind Stone off of Stormbreaker.
Yeah. In God mode.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think they probably could have just ended it right there,
Right.
And instead they didn't. So it's kind of, I get the whole story and whatnot, but I mean, this is completely different because now Ultron's like, oh, cool, there are other worlds. Time to go travel.
Time to go get it. But I thought it was interesting. Thanos wanted to cut the population in half, and instead he got cut in half. I thought that was rather poetic, which was cool.
Well balanced.
We got a flip of the Hawkeye Black Widow endgame scene.
We did,
which was pretty cool, and it happened in the same place in Siberia where the end of Civil War happens, which I thought was a nice little throwback. It was pretty cool, with some Arnim Zola in there, which was neat. But I don't know. Would you rather have had Hawkeye be the one that made the sacrifice in Endgame, or do you think Black Widow was the right call?
It's kind of hard to say, right? Because of how we're getting things in the MCU at this moment, where we're the Black Widow legacy lives on, right? As we'll see from
lawsuits.
Yeah, from lawsuits. Elena Belova, right?
Florence Pugh's character.
So she can kind of take the role of that character spot to a degree, and then just like we're getting, Kate Bishop to take over Hawkeye's, kind of character role. I think if the role had been swapped, right? Like, would Black Widow or Natasha Romanoff trying to be going after anyone else in this sense with how things are going on in the MCU or what? So I mean, I almost want to say it would probably result in the same, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see after the Hawkeye show.
Net neutral type thing.
Yeah. Like the parallels would be the same. They would be equal.
You'd get a Black Widow show where she's training a new Black Widow.
Right, exactly. like Florence Pugh. I don't know, something like that. But
it could be fun. But, interesting.
It was still cool to see that, though.
Yeah. So let's just get to it, because I have this in my notes that the Watcher versus Ultron fight, to borrow a line from James Franco in the highly acclaimed cinematic experience that is the Pineapple Express, that was the dopest dope I've ever smoked. That shit was awesome. Watching them just pulverize each other through universes, and with every punch, the environment they were in changed.
Yeah.
Holy hell, that was good.
Yeah, it was insane, honestly. I mean, that's just it kind of speaks on the level of the gravity of the situation, right? Like they're literally going between multiverses because that's just how it is with the Watcher and Ultron now. They're seemingly going in and out on every punch, every battle. I mean, Ultron's clearing out, the entire land with this, with the snap of his finger, or rather his lance. But I was kind of wondering if we were going to see a little bit more of a power push from the Watcher, which we did. And I like the line where it says you can't even begin to compute the level of my will, or something like that.
Yeah, like his outfit changed. He had like a gladiator type thing going on. It was dope as hell, dude.
It was so awesome to see. And I mean, I know people have always said in the comics, like, the Watcher is, not to be trifled with, because it's not just for the sake that he sees everything, but it's like he's a high cosmic being, and in order to do that, you kind of have to have some sort of power aligned with you, or with him. So I just think it's crazy that that's how powerful Ultron is too. Like, he's transcended that of even obviously Thanos. So like, when people were like, oh yeah, Thanos is like super threat, I'm like, because this Ultron said, nah, son. Yeah. I'm gonna throw this out there and say Ultron could beat Ultron with the Infinity Stones could totally defeat Darkseid, or as I like to call him, Darkseid, from the DC universe.
Oh, Austin.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy.
You're one of the only people who watches these videos, so you get a direct shout out in this episode.
But
where were they fighting? It, like, this multiverse.
Where weren't they fighting?
No, but like when they started, it was like a multiverse hallway.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch it and like pause scene by scene, because it happened pretty quick, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they're in different cities. They're on an ice planet. Obviously, like, we see the Skrulls. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, in that universe, right? Like, he goes to Sakaar. He goes to.
Oh yeah, we saw Grandmaster, right? Yeah.
We saw Grandmaster. We saw what's his face? Ego.
Oh yeah, Ego. The entire planet
just got destroyed.
And he's a Celestial.
Exactly, and so he just yeeted a Celestial, and which seems like a matter of seconds, of course, in the show's sake, but I mean, that's crazy power, and again, like, I thought there was going to be some sort of battle and push when Carol Danvers shows up.
Nope.
Right, and
a little bit of struggle, like a tiny bit.
Yeah, and he just kind of was like, nope, take your arms out, and then I'm going to blow up the entire planet along with you. So, yeah, and it was kind of funny how the Watcher almost intervened when Clint's like looking through the files, and he kind of almost quits, and we get the arms old stuff, but which that was pretty interesting too, how what he kind of proposes, like, being uploaded from an analog side of things as opposed to digital, right? And because that's kind of something we could almost relate to in our actual reality here. Yeah, because we live in such a very digital world as we're doing this.
You're watching this video on YouTube.
Yeah, or on your phone or your computer. Yeah, and it's like the analog is just like a lost art, lost technology, and but in this case, it seems like analog might be the solution. And obviously Nat leading the way, the last hope for that realm. And I like what the Watcher said too, where he's like, come on, you're human. I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, you guys always sort of rely on hope.
You're the ones that carry hope through the day.
They go against the odds. And I thought that was really cool to hear, because I feel like that's something that, obviously we don't have to deal with aliens or other life forms and stuff like that from different universes or different planets. So we're not on like war or anything like that, but it's just something that, we could obviously look at as humans and just kind of defy odds that we kind of struggle with as a people. Exactly.
We tend to be recklessly optimistic. In most cases. So I think that's great. To all the things you're saying, Jeffrey Wright was fantastic. In this episode, man. It was really cool to finally get to see him like really sink his teeth into some stuff instead of just kind of be the narrator that kind of sets up the scene and then closes it out at the end. So
yeah,
really
absolutely.
good stuff. When he says I see everything, but what the hell is that or whatever? Like, yeah. I was like, oh man, shit's going down. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
Did you catch when they were swearing in President Steve, Captain Rogers America at the one part?
Yes. President like, Steve Rogers.
Oh shit. That's wild.
That was cool.
There was also I don't know if it was a direct Galactus reference, but Ultron ate a galaxy.
I was going to say, speaking of taking a bite out of something, Ultron definitely took a bite out of that. I think it was. It had to have been an ode to Galactus, man. Like,
I hope so.
I mean, because that's what he would have done. So who knows? Like for sure, maybe it was. I hope it was, but I mean, that's crazy. Like you just see this giant mouth and vision. I'm like, is he awesome. Eating a planet? Because oh wait, he just did. Wow, and then they traveled to another multi-dimension, and I mean, it's
so much. It's hard to keep up.
It really is, and like I want to watch it again and really like kind of pause through those scenes just because there's so much that goes into it. And God, there was of course the thought that I had was not we didn't see it in this episode, but when the previous episode with Thor and Ultron shows up through that through the gate, you know, I was wondering if we were going to see that in this episode, which we don't. So that means obviously episode 9 is actually the first 2-parter we get in the same season.
Yeah, if you want to look at it that way, it kind of feels like I had thought that this episode was going to end with Mega Ultron going through that portal and in front of Thor, but we're either not there yet or we're past it or something. But from the end of this episode, because it gets to a point where the Watcher he can't go anymore. He's just getting his ass kicked, and he knows that he needs to get out of Dodge. And when he does, he goes to literally the safest place in the multiverse, which is the little pocket prison that Doctor Strange Supreme put himself in, which was great to see that again.
That was so cool.
Even after losing literally everything, Doctor Strange Supreme is still a dick. He was like, "You really want to hear me say it, don't you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah."
I like how in the he kind of comes from the shadow at first too, and you can kind of see like the Shumagorath, or like the tentacles, and
and he's got like a third eye. In the shadow before
and
he
walks out. And then it's like, oh, it's evil Doctor Strange. Cool.
But the Watcher admits he needs the help. It appears that I guess the first part of next week's episode is probably going to be let's get the band together, and Guardians of the Multiverse. This bitch.
Yeah, I'm like obviously was looking forward to this episode, but now I'm really looking forward to the next episode to sort of see how it all comes together, how it all ends, what they actually do, and are able to stop Ultron. And I really want to know, and I'm kind of curious of what they'll do with the Watcher and just of other things that could be of this magnitude, right? Like the gravity of someone so fierce, because obviously the other person that comes to mind is Kang, and it's like with What If's canon, that means that Ultron is, you know, obviously canon, which Kang is canon, so the Watcher's canon. Yeah,
it's
so
not like they're just hidden in one. Ultron's literally going back and forth everywhere.
Yeah. So I'm you know, again, it's very fascinating, obviously the whole spectrum of multiverses and the thought of where it goes, where it could go, and where it will go. And man, it's just gonna be awesome to see more multiverse stuff again with what we're getting in the next couple of movies here. So
because after this you've got the Eternals, which is the next film, which that might not explore multiverse, but it is going to explore like millennia old godlike creatures in the MCU. Every single one of those Eternals is going to be extremely super powered. I mean, look at so question, what burns hotter, the Mind Stone or the lasers that shoot out of Icarus's eyes?
Man, that's a good question.
It's a tough one, right?
That's a good question.
Wait, it's gonna be, but
You know who doesn't have
Stark.
a power? You know who doesn't have any powers? It's Kit Harington.
Jon Snow. Good old Dane Whitman.
I know this has nothing to do with this video, but I feel like he's trolling everyone.
I would think so. I think so. My guess is at the end of that movie, the end credit stinger is him becoming the Black Knight and having his powers or whatever. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the other two movies that are coming out within the next 6 months from Marvel are Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is a multiverse movie that includes Doctor Strange, and then Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, which is all about multiverse stuff. I wonder if like that rainbow hallway shows up again, because one of the characters in Multiverse of Madness is America Chavez, and she has the capability of hopping through multiversal points in space and time. Maybe she uses those, that's her jumping off point, and like they're kind of quietly setting the table for us for a lot of this really weird shit that's going to happen in this cartoon, which I'm pumped. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think it's a very good possibility. I think it would be a nice setup, and again, just a nice way to sort of tie everything together. So, I mean, I loved everything about this episode. The only thing we briefly talked about off screen was the absence of James Spader, who voiced Ultron in the Age of Ultron. And for whatever reason, we're unknown as to why he, didn't or wasn't able to do it. But obviously the Ross Marquand, who was obviously well known in the Walking Dead series, right? But also did Red Skull and Infinity War and an Endgame. So very familiar with with the MCU and what it entails, the craziness, and so I still think he's
better at that Red Skull voice.
yes. I mean, I think he's great as Red Skull, comparing it to Hugo Weaving. Not quite as good as James Spader's voice, because it's just he's got this deep way of delivering lines, and I know that's super hard to do, but still a good attempt. I still think he did a good job, but that's like my only gripe about this episode. If I had to pick,
it's not that Ross did a bad job, it's just that James Spader's voice is so instantly recognizable as Ultron, that it almost takes you out of it a little bit. But thankfully he didn't have a ton of dialogue, and he was more just like action than he was talking. So I think they kind of leaned into that a little bit. But I am going to say, I don't think this beats the Doctor Strange episode for me, but it's real close. I think it's the second best one they've done so far this season. And depending on how next week goes, I might change my thoughts on that. But for right now, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. What do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this is a solid 9 for me as well. And again, because it goes back to the Doctor Strange episode, it kind of just sets up the reason why that episode is so pivotal for this season. And again, it's like the severity of what he deals with in that episode, Strange does, to get to that point to where the Watcher is literally at his wit's end and has to meet him in the pocket dimension, which I love the way it faded out, just to give you an idea in that darkness, the blackness of space and multiverses, where it's so small you can't even see it at one point. So it's almost like Watcher knows it's there because he can see everything, every multiverse, but Ultron doesn't know where it is because he doesn't know about this, because he's just so, I think I was obviously new to it all. But man, next week should be a doozy if we're going to continue.
It's going to be the finale of season 1 of What If. We're very much looking forward to it. And after that, we have a little bit of a dry spell between Marvel shows. We'll have until November 24th, I think, is when the Hawkeye series debuts. But we got plenty of movies and stuff to cover in between, Foundation, Ted Lasso, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff coming out between now and then. But this will probably be the longest stretch of no Marvel we've had all year. Maybe with the exception of between Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Loki. But that is going to wrap things up for this particular video. We'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on this episode? Did you miss James Spader in the role? What did you think of Jeffrey Wright's performance, and how hyped for you next week for the finale? So please drop us that comment below. Let us know what you think. We will answer every single one that comes through. If you want to support this channel, I mean, and why wouldn't you? I mean, look at how excited we got from this damn video.
Come on.
Do it. Do it. All you have to do, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, share it with your friends, share it with your Android synthezoid pet that you're using to build a suit of armor around the world.
Peace.
We have a ton of videos we've already posted this week. We've had a Ted Lasso review, Foundation review, Midnight Mass. I posted a Spider-Man 2 4K Blu-ray review earlier today, and we're gonna have some other stuff next week with Venom coming out, The Guilty, Many Saints in Newark, more Ted Lasso, more Foundation. We've got a ton of stuff in the pipeline. Really excited for all of you guys to watch all of those things and then come see us on the videos. So please stay tuned for all of that and so much more. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.